Welcome to the Top Agent Happy Hour podcast, where you'll learn how to build a real estate career worth celebrating. Join us as real estate's top producers, industry insiders, and team leaders pull back the curtain, sharing secrets and actionable ideas for attracting clients, delivering great service, and closing deals. You'll also go beyond the deal, learning how to connect with your why, be authentically awesome, and build your will to win. And now let's join your real estate rock star hosts from Pearson Smith Realty, Richard Bridges and Dustin Fox.
All right, guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Top Agent Happy Hour. We are super excited because we have the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Pearson with us today to talk to us about how he got from A to where he is now in his career, which is absolutely an awesome story. And I think that's probably where we want to start. In your own words, Eric, tell us kind of, one, how you got into real estate, two, how you got started, and three, how you ultimately got where you are today.
All right, cool. So just being extremely honest in terms of everything. So I used to be a public accountant, so I worked in Bethesda, Maryland, probably about an hour and a half commute back when I used to do it every day. But I used to be a public accountant. I bought my first house. I did that with a agent that's with Pearson Smith today. His name's Joe Doman, awesome guy. Helped me through the process. It was extremely helpful. Took about 2 weeks, and then at the time of settlement, I kind of saw what he was paid on the closing disclosure, and it piqued my interest. I said, man, this guy helped me out. Awesome experience, and obviously seems to do pretty well financially. So immediately asked Joe some questions. He kind of recruited me in, quit my accounting job cold turkey, said, hey, it's going to be tough, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm going for this, with a lot of kind of sleepless nights from my mom crying about the fact that I was going to do it. But anyway, made that leap and went into real estate full time. Getting into it was rough, just like anybody's going to find. I've honestly never really found anybody that's had like immediate success, before a 6-month period. So I tell everybody I ever meet, the ramp up period is what's hard in real estate. It's that entrepreneurship world where, hey, the beginning's tough. And if you do it right, you're going to build long-term, flexibility and financially sky's the limit type atmosphere. So got into real estate. First 6 months were extremely rough. Took me 8 months to sell my first house. And then that first year I sold 10 total. Year 2, I sold 72. In year 3, at that point, adopting into a team, did about 300 transactions. So it was quick growth. And then at that point, once that finished up is when I kind of looked at it and said, man, I want to build a brokerage for real estate agents. And that's when Pearson Smith kind of started in 2015. And since then, we've gone from 17 to about 1,000 real estate agents in the DMV in West Virginia. So that's kind of where we sit today.
Dude, that's absolutely incredible that within your first 3 years in the business, with literally no background in it, you didn't springboard in. You didn't buy a book of business, like really cold turkey, jumped in, saw what a lot of agencies just starting out with that kind of 6-month, 8-month ramp up period, but then just massive growth. What do you think attributed to that the most? Like, what do you think the one thing that you did that you see a lot of agents maybe missing the mark on? What do you think that you did differently to get where you ultimately got with those transactions and where you are with the brokerage now?
Yeah, I think, I see agents fail literally for 2 reasons only. Number one is just the financial ability, right? So some people, they go a month and like, man, I need a paycheck. I got to go do something. Focus is lost and it's done. The other one is just pure frustration. So I kind of mentioned that 6-month time window before you really see maybe some consistency to your business. A lot of people do everything right for 1 month. They come in, they're pumped, they're in the office every day. They do it for 1 month and then they're pissed off by the results and saying, man, nothing's really happening yet. And I kind of go back to that first meeting I had and said, remember that 6-month conversation. So some people, it's just the frustration sets in and then they don't stay consistent with their business and it starts going all over the place. For me personally, it was just very methodical in terms of the work put in and kind of the business plan, what I was going to attack. I did get blessed at the time in terms of, how the cost of online leads, right? It's drastically changed. I used to get a Zillow lead for 15, 20 bucks a pop. I could buy a ton of them, kind of really get that going in terms of lead opportunities. That's changed today, just given the cost with all of the sources kind of across the board. But I got into it. My plan was I'm going to work online leads. I'm going to become the best on the phone, the best on script, the best on the contract, which led to that higher conversion, right? A lot of people don't even take the time to learn the contract when they start. You should know that in and out, right? These easy things to become an expert. But online leads, I just got killer at conversion, referral based. So what you see a lot of people, I'm great at online leads. I close them and I forget about them. Or I work referral and I'm never going to touch an online lead. They all suck. I kind of just combined the two. I'm going to take this online lead, best experience in the world. They're going to become my best friend at the end. And then I'm going to have referrals coming in this side. So online leads, referral. I was at the very beginning, like open houses every single weekend, sometimes 2 a day. Basically what I would do is 11 to 1 and then take a break and then hold 2 to 4. Just going all out. If you hold an open house every weekend, you will sell a ton of homes. It's just a matter of getting good at it. And then I just did some other networking activities, but main pillars, online leads, referral, open houses, and just 24/7 looking at it as if I can really crush it my first 2 years, I can build a business where soon I will have that flexibility. That's also a benefit of what we're doing. So that's kind of how I drove it and how I got to the point of really creating that success on a sales perspective.
So not really super complicated in terms of what you focused on, but what I think you really said there that resonated with me was you became the best at the few things that you did, right? You 100% just crushed the online lead model. You were the best with customer service and getting the repeat and referral business. And then you just did open houses until you couldn't do them anymore.
You know what? And that's a good point, right? So I also feel you have to be confident in what you're doing, not from a skill set level, but just as a person, right? So I can train somebody on what to do, how to call an expired, withdraw on a FSBO, what to say, what to do, but I'm not comfortable doing it. So when I looked at all the different lead generation models, I said, here's the pillars that fit me and what I'm going to master, and that's all I'm going to worry about. And all the other noise, shut out. I know you can get business that way. It's just not how I personally am going to get business. So I think what agents need to do is say, all right, if I'm good at 3 or 4 things, that's all that's needed. So let me just become really good and raise the bar on those.
You went from 10 transactions to 72 your second year. And because it was, you said mostly Zillow and open houses, I'm guessing probably 50 or 60 of those were buy-side transactions. How in the hell did you do, 50, 60 buy-side transactions in 1 year yourself?
Yeah, to be honest with you, looking back at that, it was a grind, obviously, because it was almost all buy. Like I was primary, I'd probably say 80% buyer side, if not more. Obviously, listings came later, and that became another spoke to my business on how to use that listing to really market. But it was nonstop at the time. Like you have to put in the work at the beginning to get to where you want to be. I just didn't take a break. Thankfully, my fiance still married me, and we got 2 beautiful kids, 1 on the way. But at the time, she just kind of knew that's what we had to do to make it successful, gave me the leeway, gave me the support, and I just kind of really worked hard.
Yeah, we had a fellow PSR agent on, John Granlin, last week. And, he's 14 years in the business, been with Keller, some other brokerages. And he said something kind of poignant that I've heard from a lot of Pearson Smith agents that said, like, coming here, there's like a feeling of sharing and ideas being swapped and a sense of motivation in the air. And between like the top agent classes that, all the top agents kind of participate in and doing something to give back. You just don't see that at most brokerages. So how were you able to kind of instill that into the agents and get people to be sharing? Because at the end of the day, we are competing against ourselves. And it's, people don't want to give up those secrets.
Yeah, I think, that's a mindset shift at the end of the day. Obviously what we kind of preach is collaboration. I've been in, it's just kind of the culture of going into it where it's a very cover your paper mentality, don't share, which you kind of see a lot in the traditional world. But the number of transactions, the ability for an agent to break into this business, you always hear like, oh, all my friends are agents. How am I going to be an agent? Or just there's so many of us. Like the number of transactions that are out there is truly like unlimited potential. Like no agent can say, I can't go out there and sell 1 million houses. You all can. You just got to put in the work and the effort. And it's only going to be helpful with each person obviously sharing and collaborating at Pearson Smith, and it helps each and every person. So in terms of us, how do we kind of draw that out? I think it's just a sense of everybody here is willing to do it for the other without a true expectation of it coming back to them in some way. So everybody's just kind of sharing that information, and it's kind of worked. And I think people, once they get that help from someone else, they're obviously willing to kind of do it for the next person too. So that's just kind of a culture and a mentality that we have here, and something that I'm, damn proud that we do.
Yeah, I know when I do go to those best agent or top agent meetings, it's basically mandatory. You guys say, okay, we're not leaving the meeting until somebody here is going to volunteer to teach a class, and it's there on Facebook Live. It's there for everybody. And occasionally you'll have like no hands go up for a second, and just like the uncomfortableness of it, somebody will eventually raise their hand and take part. But I mean, that's where I learned postcards was from Leanne, and a lot of things that I've learned from other agents is just from those classes that they've shared. So.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people don't, how much knowledge they actually do have. Like Leanne, in terms of the farming, that's kind of a video that I'm working on now in terms of our kind of how to become a successful agent series. And I'm watching her video from the training that we held, and I'm almost like, why the hell am I going to do another? Like, this is perfect. It actually teaches you everything that you need. I might just want to shoot this out and, save my time. But ultimately, I think people forget, like, their expertise literally to a new agent or someone else, like it's not simple to them, and the way here it just makes it a lot easier. So it's really cool to see agents sharing like that.
Yeah, and one of the things, just from like a personal anecdote, when I first met Eric, I heard about Eric because you were just doing really great things, and people were, there were just a lot of haters out there, and so how I heard of Eric wasn't in the best light originally, but I've learned in this business over 15 years that when somebody consistently, you're hearing something about them, you're like, all right, I got to go figure it out for my own, because there are a lot of people out there that are haters. And I met with Eric, and one of the things that really like shocked me was, in all of the environments I had been in, I came in and he just basically said, here's the brokerage playbook. Here's our recruiting compensation package. This is how we make our money. This is exactly what we do step by step. Have a nice day. And I was like, you're just going to let me walk out with that information? You're like, dude, it's like, I can't have that type of mindset going into these meetings. I want to come from contribution. I want to help people grow. And this is the formula we use. No one's going to be able to model a business exactly the same way as us. So I'm not fearful of that. I'm not going into it with that limited belief. And I just remember sitting there for like a couple minutes after you walked out of the room. I was like, this whirlwind of stuff happened. My brain is racing. And then I felt like I stole something and just ran out of the office. I was like, I'm going to take this with me and I'm going to show it to everybody. He don't even know what he just did. And then when I realized like what you had actually done, I was like, dude, that's what puts him on another level. That's why people need to listen to everything you say. It blows me away every day.
So, yeah, that's a good story, because unfortunately, like, taking that recruiting booklet that I gave, we probably improved the packages since then, but probably didn't actually go and do anything with it, right? Didn't go and share it or change or do it. Like, that's the unfortunate piece I see with too many agents. Like, they sit down, they get that great training, they take it, and they don't actually do anything with it. So, I hope more people do and just realize, like, it's not hard. Just follow the steps, follow the plan, be consistent, and give it some time. And it's almost, I've never seen anyone not be successful. So just, but in that sharing aspect, that's exactly what agents are doing for agents internally. And man, are you sure I gave you the right recruiting packet? I might give you something old or something.
I think at the time it had like 17 commission packages, so it was a lot to wrap my noodle around for sure.
I want to acknowledge some of the hate you were hearing. Let's just air it out. What were some of the rumors you were hearing about Pearson Smith?
Oh yeah, what's the hate, man?
He's doing something illegal. There's no way you can sell that many houses that fast. It's a non-profitable business model. They're going to be out of business. Flash in the pan. Anything and everything that anyone can say to basically just re-cement their own limiting beliefs into what they're actually capable and what they're not capable of. I mean, that's just what it was. It was surprising because it was actually my boss at the time. So I'm managing with another company, and he's going into these meetings and he's like specifically pointing out different companies that are, bullshit in his opinion. And I'm like, all right, well, I need to look into these a little bit more, because if he's taking the time to talk about them in our broker meetings, then I need to know what's going on. And it was just incredibly eye-opening when I took a few minutes to actually learn what you were about.
Nice, man. A lot of hate. There was one time that the rumor was me and Chuck got in a fist fight, and I left and went back to my old brokerage. We heard that one time. And, unfortunately, that's never actually happened. But yeah, a ton of rumors, different things. I hear it all the time from a profitability standpoint, or this, that, and the other. To be honest, like, I know how I was a former accountant. My partner is an accountant his entire life. We're just extremely smart in terms of kind of running our performance and numbers and different things. We do it off of lead generation. Like, we have a massive team that brings in a lot of that revenue. When I say team, it's a package offering here where leads are provided, but that alone brings in enough to, do whatever we want to do in a sense. And obviously we have some other different pillars and ways that we kind of generate. So no, we're excited, man. And now that we're at a point where we're at with, say, 1,000 agents, and we kind of really kind of dug down and said, let's build this great brokerage, but reputation's got to be number one as well, and have the best agents in the area, and let's grow and continue to remain mom and pop and all these things. Like, now it's at a point where people really haven't seen anything yet in terms of where we hope to kind of take this within our in the DMV in West Virginia. So we're excited to get out there and take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I think it's partly the same mentality when you were probably just an agent, and you're looking at some of those mega agents, and there's that little voice in your head like, oh, they're probably a jerk because they're doing this many transactions. And then when you actually meet them at a conference somewhere personally, you're like, oh, this person is completely nice, not at all how I envision them. And I think that's what probably a lot of people get with you is they hear, other associates or other brokers saying like, oh, there's no way that their model can last long term. It's not feasible. And then when they sit down with you and you just kind of lay down the facts same way you did with Richard, they're like, oh, okay, I can completely see why this makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I can confidently say this, I'm sure there's people that do or don't, but I don't know one person in the entire industry that actually knows me personally that doesn't like me. Like, Richard's managing broker, whoever the hell that is, like, I don't even know who that is. So it's like, when these people, they don't actually know anything. It's just that fear, kind of aspect. But top teams, people, like, plenty of people not at our brokerage, like I'm good friends with, like, I wish them success. They're doing great things. Like, it's more of, as an industry in general, I wish people would just be a little bit, it's a little jaded how people treat one another. So I wish it would kind of come together a little bit more and just everybody work for the common goal of, all growing together in a sense. Who knows? I don't know why the hell I said that.
Yeah, it's the scarcity mindset versus the opportunity mindset. It's all about what you're focused on. I think the people that are focused on the scarcity, like, hey, I'm losing market share, instead of thinking there's unlimited market share, instead of me feeling like I need to take it back from them, I'll just go make new market share. Like that type of thing. That's what you've done.
It's crazy. It's all crazy to me. But yeah, I wish people thought that way as well. So.
I mean, it's just the numbers. You realize people think, oh, everybody I know, like you said earlier, is a real estate agent. That's everybody but there's still, 10, 20, 30 times more homeowners than there are real estate agents. So there's plenty of transactions out there for everybody. It's just, you got to get your mind over that.
Right.
So last year, you and Pearson Smith Realty were recognized by the Washington Business Journal, which is an awesome, legit publication out there that does a lot of reporting on the local businesses in the DMV area, and not just in the real estate space, but in all of the businesses as a whole. PSR was recognized as the 5th fastest growing company. How when you learned of that information, was that surprising to you? Was that like, hey, of course it was? And then hearing that and knowing, that's what you've accomplished in such a short period of time, what's in the future? What does that look like more specifically? I know you alluded to it a minute ago. Yeah,
no, well, it didn't surprise me for several reasons. Number one, obviously we were growing like a hockey stick in a sense. Number two, it's that's a every awards, that's a revenue based thing. So I don't want to downplay it at all, but that's based on commission dollars that come in, and a lot's kind of split and dispersed to agents at the end of the day, especially based on our kind of split compensation and different things. So it didn't surprise me based on growth and based on, all those things. But it also didn't surprise me because I know how we're putting agents first in terms of what we're doing. And when we started this, like, there's no reason for any agent, no matter where they are in their career, not to kind of be part of what we're doing at Pearson Smith, whether that's a brand new agent who may need leads, a top team who really wants to scale and grow and be on that kind of 100% compensation model. I'm actually looking at it and surprised that we're not growing even faster at this point based on what we do. And I think it's just the mindset of hopefully getting more people in front of us. Because usually when they do, they're saying, man, why didn't I talk to you sooner? Why didn't I know about this? So hopefully we're able to continue that. But Washington Business Journal, that was a great thing. It's exciting to get out there and get recognition, especially in our regional area. But it didn't necessarily surprise me just because I know how fast we have been growing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I've only been with Pearson Smith, so I think I was around like agent 45 or so. And I actually had like one of those doubters because I interviewed 6 or 7 brokerages, and I won't name the brokerage, but they were like, "Oh, their model won't work." And I went in to meet you, and you were like in that closet office in Sterling, your at the beginning. And I walked in and it looked like, I thought it was like a call center or something. And I was like, I don't know, this is for me. And I sat down with you, and the same way you did with Richard, just kind of laid out all the facts. There was no pressure, no promise of income, no any of this. It was just like, this is what you're going to do. You asked me, like, are you working full time right now? And I said, yeah. And you're like, do you have kids? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to make any money probably for 6 months. So that was like refreshing to me that you were that honest. But I try to picture, like, if you're the number 5 in Washington Business Journal, I try to imagine like all the work that it would take for me to just change all my marketing and everything to switch brokerages. And to me, that sounds like a lot of work. How have you been able to get all of these agents to come over to our brokerage? Like, what are you offering culturally or package wise that makes it so attractive? And how are you easing the transition?
Yeah, in terms of the transition, obviously you guys, know Whitney. Whitney's a rock star in terms of the onboarding process and makes it extremely seamless for everybody. It has changed in that world, a lot in terms of, it used to be paper applications, take a while to transfer. Today it's a click of a button, takes 10 seconds. Depending on the brokerage, obviously some brokerages are different, right? You got to be mindful of where your transactions stand and are they going to come with you or they have to stay, or getting that timing right. But majority are pretty open in terms of the transfer process and allow you to take things and aren't going to really halt your progress and transactions in terms of that transfer. So the transferring of a brokerage is very, very simplistic. And usually when you see things such as websites or marketing material, those type things, given we allow agents to brand themselves, there's not a lot of work there, right? It's just kind of changing out a couple logos or addresses and making an order, and you might wait, a week to get your business card signs, everything possibly in. So literally transferring a brokerage, there's not much work whatsoever. Now, the cool thing we have at Pearson Smith, and during my time from growing that first year from taking 8 months to sell a house to third year doing 300 transactions as a team, is I got to see like the pitfalls of each and every step for a real estate agent. So the cool thing when an agent meets with me, it's not like, oh, here's what it is. This is the best one package that we offer, and it's meant for everybody. Ours is, we have several different packages and several different things to help you grow. Where are you at in your career, so I can help put you in the right one. So package 1 could be the lead generation model, where we're kind of providing leads to real estate agents. Obviously that's a numbers game, but it comes with mentors and coaches and just massive lead generation that we hand over to you. And it's, the promises are actually there, right? So we say, you're going to get 30 leads a month. You're going to get 30 leads a month, and it's done at a high level. A program like that's going to ramp an agent up. Then we have several packages in between, all the way up to that 100% commission option. So once I got to my previous brokerage, when I was running that team concept, it was too expensive to scale the team. So I wasn't able to be flexible with my splits in terms of agents. Retention got tough. Here we run on 100% compensation with just a transaction fee. No other costs. There's no royalties. We're privately held. You can truly grow and scale. Add 100 agents to your team. There's no monthly fees, no caps, nothing. It's literally just off that small transaction fee. So an agent can come here and literally say, I can grow as big and scale as big as I want here. And that's not at all, the money is not going to affect my business anyway. It's not worth the risk liability to maybe go start my own brokerage, or who knows. So Pearson Smith, you can come from a new agent to the top performing team. You're never going to see a reason to need to leave, because we offer all different models in one place. So basically taking the best of every brokerage out there, putting in one shop, and then helping agents, grow and succeed and become productive with all the different tools and tech and things that we offer.
So Eric, it seems like you're really forward thinking in how you approach having this incredible culture and agent-centric compensation packages. What are some things recently you've been doing to continue to kind of perpetuate that feeling within the brokerage for attracting new people who maybe hadn't given the brokerage a consideration up to this point? What are the new things you're doing or planning to do to really attract even more folks to the brokerage and continue this meteoric rise?
Yeah, I think, in terms of what we do, compensation's there. Culture is going to be there at a high level. Technology, things that we offer. We're really doing a lot of drive towards the consumer at this time and making sure that experience is a high level. And basically, as a brokerage now, you can literally be on a 100% compensation plan here, and then we're going to handle the client experience on your behalf, where we kind of litter the client with gifts during the process to make you look a rock star, build that raving fan so you get referrals forever. So what that kind of looks like is your client goes under contract. Pearson Smith is basically going to pay and take care of giving your client a ratification gift, sending them their moving boxes, giving them a contingencies removal gift, sending them handwritten note, everything branded to you, sending them a closing gift. After settlement, we send them to the movies 30 days later and said, you're probably tired of packing and all those things. Go ahead and go out to the movies on me. We're building this experience for the consumer in the brand of the agent to help that agent grow. So everything is hit today. We're kind of really driving towards the consumer to make the experience great for the agent, even to the point of quarterly gifts from the agent paid for by the broker after the fact. So literally for a year, we're kind of taking care of that top of mind marketing. So we're trying to do more and more for the agent. We've been having it on listing setup. Like we can handle that internally for the agent to help them get their listing on the marketing, paying for photography, sign, install, brochures, transaction coordinator, all kinds of different things. I want to build a place where agents literally get any and everything they always need, because I do believe if that agent wins, we win as well. If that agent's great at what they do, that client wins. So we're just going to continue to drive towards that win-win-win relationship and see how far we can take it.
What's so truly incredible about that, and I'm not sure if our listeners even picked up on just how awesome this is, because in reality, so many of the other companies out there are focused on technology and kind of depersonalizing the process, right? They want to automate everything. They want to basically make an app for it. They want to try and make the experience smoother, right, from a transactional standpoint, but they're not doing anything to really increase the customer experience, which we all know leads to more referrals and repeat business. And you're probably one of the first people that I've heard of that on a brokerage level are helping the agents give an amazing experience to their clients so they become raving fan. I mean, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal and what we want to drive to. I think with all the tech, the disruptors, the different things coming out, people are slowly forgetting that it's something that doesn't happen often. It's extremely emotional. It's massive in terms of financial, usually people's biggest investment. Like they do want somebody there. It's going to be tough to completely automate that aspect. So we really got to drive to the consumer and make them understand like how important having a real estate agent is. So we're trying to hit that, but also don't get it confused in terms of we offer like a tech stack of 15 different tools, right? So third-party things such as Boomtown, listings to leads. I got a couple more that we're adding to the stack, like great stuff. The only thing we don't do is proprietary in-house because we don't want to have to keep up with it. We want to leave it to the experts. And I see a lot of brokerages today trying to change to these like tech tools that in a sense may replace an agent instead of kind of helping that agent be successful, because the truth is agent adoption on different tech tools, if you were to really ask them and dig into numbers, you might get like a 5 to 10% usage rate. Like at these brokerages that are putting out this tech, which I've seen, and it doesn't really impress me in a sense. But most of their agents are using Boomtown themselves and paying for different products. Like it's hard to make agents adopt to it because they all have their different ways of doing business. So we're not going to, while we do offer like a massive amounts of technology, all great stuff. Third party, best in industry. The focus is just giving the agent everything they need to use to make a successful career, not necessarily changing the way they do business. Everybody who comes here, we can probably make more productive with what we offer. Obviously, we're going to make more profitable based on the splits that we offer. And then they're also going to get a culture and a mentality where they're getting help from top down, from brokers to agents to partners. Anybody here is going to kind of help grow. So it's kind of the perfect formula to help any agent take their business to the next level.
Yeah, going back to the client gifts you were saying from contract to close and then the year follow-up after that, it makes me think, and I don't know if you remember this conversation, I was probably 6 months into the business, and I was sharing with you like what I was hearing whispers of from another agent that I knew from another brokerage. And you said, well, this is kind of like what drove me to start this brokerage, because, you know, the way the business is there's not a lot of transparency in what other agents are making and, you know, what the actual available splits are, or I was on a great split and then it started getting chipped away with less things. And the crazy thing from my personal experience over the last 4 years is it seems like every meeting you're adding things rather than subtracting things. It's like every single time we meet up as a brokerage, there's just something new. Like I used to be on a 90-10s plan where I was getting I had my transaction coordinator, all my listing services, the photographer, the signpost, the brochures, everything. And then you just like one day come in and say, you know what, you're just automatically going to go to 100. If you want all that stuff, it's just a flat fee, and it was like crazy impact for my business. And it's like, it probably fuels that speculation of like, how is he affording this?
Yeah, you know, I don't know why the hell I did that at the time. I think you were paying $1,000 a month, and Dad, just stop paying and put your split up 10%. No, man, that's by design. I mean, when we started, like, people thought our packages were good at that time, and what we've been able to do since then is just like insane in terms of what's being offered. But that was by design. We knew as we grew, right, we're going to be able to provide more for the real estate agent. Every step we take is how can we provide more? Because at the end of the day, I want my agents to be successful and enjoy it. And again, if they're winning, you know, we're winning as well. So I think just last month is when we kind of introduced the client experience thing that we're doing for real estate agents. I got more that we're going to kind of put out there in September when we kind of do our next big brokerage, meeting in a sense. But now just constantly thinking, how can I make it easier for the agent? How can I help them more? Because that's my focus, is the real estate agent. I don't deal with the consumer direct. The real estate agent does that. So I'm just working to try to make them as great as they possibly can be.
Well, it's great forward thinking because it's already had an impact on me. I've had 3 referrals from those client gifts already. People just picking up the phone or sending me a text or email saying like, hey, Dustin, thank you so much for that. My sister's moving into the area. I'd love for you guys to meet. That was, just like people getting things in the mail rather than like nothing wrong with handwritten notes. Those are really big deal. But a lot of times you go with some of these coaches and they're on a Zig Ziglar quote or something that they have nothing to do with real estate or who you are, but everybody likes getting gifts in the mail. And if you're kind of putting that on autopilot for the agents and it's coming from them personally, it's just going to have a huge impact, exponential growth for everybody.
Yeah, it's all stuff that an agent always wants to do. They just don't have the time and bandwidth to actually do it. So now we're going to ensure that it gets done. And again, with doing those things, like you said, the social media posts are just getting a gift and sharing it. I've seen time after time where agents are getting business just by a client posting a gift they sent them through brokerage on social or something. Yeah.
So I got a question for you. I want to kind of pivot and go back a little bit and then circle back and actually hit you with a second question. The first one is, we get a lot of folks that are listening that are in a space where they're like, maybe between, should I stay a solo agent and scale with like admin people, ISAs, TCs, or should I actually start a team? And so you did both, right? You were actually producing at a high level, doing buyer business yourself. And then going into that third year, what made that huge difference? You got the team, you figured out a model, and you actually replicated that on the broker level. Well, what do you think is the true point in time when a solo agent should really be thinking team is the next step for them?
I think agents need to be smarter about it. that's for sure. It's kind of been the most shocking thing that I've seen since we get started. I would also probably, as an agent, just in podcasts like these and different things, I wouldn't listen to the bullshit people say in terms of how great their business is, because if they look at their numbers, it's probably not as profitable as they make it out to be. I think a team, it's not necessarily where you are. I think an agent just needs to start looking at themselves and saying, my great salesperson, right, in terms of lead generation, getting business and helping a client through, or my great manager. The success that we had from a team aspect, like I stopped selling. I took myself out of that completely. I didn't need to feed myself. I was worried about feeding real estate agents and helping them get successful. My ability to grow that team, what I see too much is the team leaders trying to be out there selling themselves nonstop and don't have the focus on actually growing those agents that they have. So then whether it's they're providing leads and that agent's not converting, well, there's not anyone there kind of training them how to do so. I think whoever that team leader is, don't do the notion of, hey, the industry says the next step is to build a team. Like, think about what you're good at, what your strengths are, and just stick to that. And if it is managing, well, then take a step back. It's going to be a step back in your career most likely. But if you do it right and train those agents right, they're going to be loyal to you for a long time. And then obviously you're really going to take that giant leap forward if you do it right. But I think the team aspect, Richard, and I truly think this, like, I think it's just too much of agents thinking that's the next best step and not actually what is best for their business based on their skill set. Like, it shouldn't be, I sell 10 million, I got to start a team now, right? It should be, no, you must be really good at sales. Why don't you go sell 20 million and get an admin to help you out? Too many people think, oh, it's got to be team, because that's what they see, but it's not right for every person. So that's where what I've been lucky with is seeing it time and time again now is just trying to really help agents know when and how is the right time. And that's something I personally like to take on to meet with somebody to help kind of build that game plan. I know you do it too, Richard, in terms of helping us see manage a broker here and do a lot of great stuff with coaching. But I think it's just the guidance piece in terms of setting it up correctly and making sure it's exactly what they want to do and know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I get that question all the time. Hey, should I join a team? Should I start a team? I'm starting to find success. What people don't realize is it's two completely different skill sets, being an effective salesperson and rainmaker and being a leader, right? They're in a lot of ways, they don't even complement each other, because being a rainmaker and a salesperson is very you-centric. You being a leader is very they-centric. And unless you have that mindset going into it, you're going to fail on a team level, which is only going to take away from your ability to produce as a rainmaker. So you really got to make sure you got your things structured correctly when doing it. And I could not be more grateful that you made that point, coming from somebody who did it solo, who did it effectively on a large scale with a team, and then continues to do it on a super high level on the brokerage side of things. That's just, yeah. I think people miss out.
That's good, Richard. Like I appreciate it. So this is just, people can say, oh, Eric's right or wrong, or who knows. Let me just think. So you go into a brokerage, a traditional model, and it's not a cap model. It's, hey, this is going to be your split, and here's how we're going to help train you, who knows what they're doing. But split is 50-50, 70-30, something along those lines, but there's no actual cap. They're going to tell you to be an individual agent, right? You see those people all the time. Like, they don't like the team model. They don't like, that's not what they drive to, because that individual agent is going to drive more revenue to the brokerage by being on that, because it's a set split. When you go to a brokerage that is a cap model, they're immediately trying to push you to a team, because you're still going to get probably a half cap or something along those lines, and they no longer have to deal with it, right? The team leader is going to deal with training that person. So there, in terms of revenue generation to the brokerage, makes more sense to say the team model is the right thing for you. The truth is, no one really knows until you get going. So if I were to talk to an agent and say, I'd say, look, try it for 6 months, do everything right, and then see where you're at. And if you need a team at that point, you'll be able to go join one, because it's not even a benefit to the team or team leader by taking a new agent who in 3 months, they realize they're pretty good at this and then are jumping off to go be an individual agent. You just wasted their time, their money, all that type of stuff. So figure out like what actually is the best. And when coming here, like, we're trying to truly guide, because there's no difference in terms of a profitability standpoint or revenue for us. It's more about what is best for you as an agent to help you grow. But every model, you're going to hear a ton of different things. And if you just sat back and said, wait a second, why are they, pushing this? Well, at the end of the day, there's usually some type of financial gain in terms of what they're saying is what's best for you.
Well, that's what makes it such an easy transition, because I came into the brokerage on you have a unique brokerage where your brokerage has a team, but then you also have these other mega teams that work under the brokerage hood. So I wasn't really ready to go to one of those teams, because my fear was, am I going to be growing my business in my name while I'm learning, or am I going to be growing somebody else's? So I had the advantage to come under your wing on the brokerage team, grow my business on the lead package, and then when I was doing well, split off. And there was seamless transition. It was never like the 20 sales that I have were not in my name. Like I didn't get the credit for the volume of that. I have that existing still to this day, all there for me. So, and I think it is a personal decision, and I'm glad you're sitting down with people regarding the team, because that's what kept me from doing that. I know I have the accountability already to my clients, and adding the accountability to training and guiding other agents on a multiple day a week at the office situation, that's more than I'm willing to bite off right now.
Yeah. And then just like a little bit clarification on that, like technically it's not a team, it's more of a package that we offer where agents receive leads. But I think what you're driving at is you're still doing it in your own brand. You're still doing everything as if you were an individual agent. There's just a little bit more accountability behind it, because we're spending a ton of money, obviously, to get you the leads to help grow the business. But yeah, I mean, that's key. And I take it off even an agent question, right? Like, hey, I want to join a team. Hey, why do you want to join a team? Leads. Well, all right, let's really think about that. That's not a reason just to join a team, right? Now, if someone comes and says, hey, I want to join a team because I want someone to really mentorship, grow me, have back-end admin support that's going to take my business to the next level, well, then, hey, we might have a win, because there's teams that truly offer that. It's not just going there in terms of I want leads mentality. So I think it, again, comes down to each and every person. Trying to really figure out what is best for you, because if I get you in the right place, it's going to lead to, loyalty and trust, and then we'll get to be successful together for an extended period of time.
Eric, looking back 7-8 years ago when you got licensed, who was an agent that you looked up to, team leader or single agent, and what about them helps you grow?
You know what, man? I had to come inside. My computer's dying here.
That's all right.
I'm trying to think, to be honest with you. A lot of people ask me this question in terms of coach or mentor, or this, that, and the other. Truthfully, I don't have anybody, right? I don't have an agent. I don't have a coach, anybody that I can just pinpoint to and say, this person is what changed my business. But I am a student of pretty much every single one of them out there. So if you're a top producer in our marketplace, even if I've never met you, I probably have a good idea and understanding of what you do just based on watching you. If you're a coach, I've probably talked to you before. I probably watched every YouTube video that you have. I'm trying to learn from each and every person, because obviously there's not just one way to do stuff. But one person there's really not one person that I kind of went under and that person kind of changed my business. And, it's just unfortunately the sad truth behind it.
Oh, I like the honesty.
Yeah. No, I mean, there was one person, me, myself, and I, right there. Boom, made it happen.
Nah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I give myself little credit, man. I simply work hard and try to put others first, man. That's literally all that we're doing. I'm not any type of real estate genius or anything. It's just a matter of trying to do the right thing, to be honest with you.
I hear that. So you were talking about it a minute ago, and you mentioned these particular, it's becoming an industry in and of itself. But a lot of these companies, these disruptors, there's just a ton of fear out there. I think for a lot of real estate agents, would love to get your take on either calming them down or fueling the fires. What do you think are we really facing in our industry? What do you got for us?
Yeah, there's a lot to it, man. Obviously, the biggest thing right now is discount and iBuyer campaigns and different things like that. From the discount world, like, agents got to get over it. Commission compression is going to happen, right? It's already taken place. You see it. That's going to happen at all times. An agent just has to get better at what they do and be seen as an expert. I think it's been a big push for us, right? As you guys know, like, our goal was to why they had good intentions, I'm sure. Like, we wanted to remove the hobbyist from Pearson Smith Realty, right? So don't come here unless you want to be a great real estate agent, because you take up too much time and effort and not actually giving back, right? So we're not going to write your contract. We're not going to do that. You need to really learn these things. But what's shocking to me at times is when an agent just anywhere is saying, hey, I'm competing against Redfin. Can you believe they might go this direction for, 1% or whatever it is? It's my first deal. I'm not really sure what to do. Should I tell them no way? It's like, dude, it's your first deal. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You're trying to really think you're worth, X percent when you have no idea how to do it. Right. And again, that's more the industry, making people kind of appear that way. So I think if we get great at what we do and people don't see agents as these people who are just sleazy salesmen or whatever it is, and we're really experts in what we do, like, the demand will always be there. We'll see some commission compression, but it's not going to change too much in that world. And a Redfin or whoever it is from brokerage standpoint probably isn't going to be able to compete against this. And obviously there's certain points where they're getting too low, like a Purple Bricks, which I think they're kind of closing down shop in some places. So there is the point where even these brokerage models can only go so far. And if you look at the models in general, like on a rebate side, the listing side is going to drive the market to get the buyer. There's not much rebates on a buyer side at this point, or kind of discounted commissions. Like, just be mindful of the different plays in terms of what they do, because I'm sure a lot of agents, if they look at it, they'll notice really it's not too far off of what I maybe do in my own business. The iBuyer campaign is just extremely interesting, based on what they're doing, obviously going direct to consumer, to try to buy their house for a slightly discounted rate, which may be the same as if there were no realtor commissions or something along those lines. In speaking to companies like that, I think the biggest thing they didn't take into play was consumer skepticism, right? So they fill out a form online, you get an offer, and the consumers never talked to anybody, no human interaction, probably hasn't sold a house in 7 years, and saying, wait a second, why is this different than what the market shows? What are all the, just not a pure understanding. So I think out of every 10 offers submitted, they might get one actually accepted, just from a standpoint of no one's there to really give them the details and kind of gain that trust and loyalty and different things. So the iBuyer campaign will pick up some steam, just to given the fact that you have now the Zillows doing it, the Redfin's doing it, some of these high power places that have a ton of unique visitors coming to sites each and every month. But I don't think it's ever going to really change again. The fact that doesn't happen often for the consumer, huge financial purchase, biggest investment, extremely emotional. Most of it's done through referral, people you know and trust. Like, we're going to be around for a long time. We're going to have to deal with things in terms of disruptors, but if you know it in and out and what they do, chances are you're going to be able to overcome it.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, I get it why they're starting in some places like Phoenix, where you have some cookie cutter subdivisions and consistent value throughout. But at the end of the day, you are selling something, even if it's in the same neighborhood, same square footage, that's completely different than anything else like it on the market. So they're relying on your expertise to guide them on what these updates are worth, and what your marketing plan is going to be. If you've put it on the market in a couple of weeks and it hasn't sold, what are you going to be doing to sell my house? There's always going to be a place for that, no matter what. Yeah,
and again, I'm not saying it's going to completely get right, but let a market shift take place and all those things, and you're probably going to see, how it kind of all shakes out, because ultimately that will, if they're buying it for that low of a discount from what's advertised, which, I highly doubt it's going to be that point. I think Zillow said they're getting 7% below market after not including fees or anything. So, if it's really at that pace and there's a market shift, well, there will be an issue in terms of, them in general holding all these properties, losing money, that type of stuff. So we'll see how it plays out and shakes. But luckily, we're in our area, you don't see a lot of these people coming in as strong, just given sales price, things like that. It just gets a little bit more riskier as you kind of move up in that sales price. And Pearson Smith, luckily, we are DMV, West Virginia. That's our focus, and that's kind of where we want to grow and become the biggest and baddest.
Yeah, it's a good model, though, because if you go on like an iBuyer site and you say, I want, here's your instant offer, and then you decline that, then they can sell that as a seller lead for like $500 or a higher lead share, because they're obviously a motivated seller. So they're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
No, that's a extremely good point, man. Actually, kind of hope they come into our marketplace with it so we can, you know. No, we'll buy or partner on them hopefully. But no, we'll see, man. But to be honest with you, what have we been talking about for almost 2 years? Almost this same exact concept, you know. So it's just, hey, there's still that time where you just got to stay focused, do a great job for the client, you know, work hard, and you know, this stuff is going to happen regardless. There's nothing we can possibly do to stop it. So just adapt a little bit more.
But looking at your real estate business over the last 8 years, what are you the most proud of? And what's the number one thing looking back at your career that you would go back and change or do differently?
Oh, man. Most proud, to be honest, I'm extremely proud of everything we're doing. I think there's a lot of concept of the people that we're doing with. I do see like all the agents, and it's obviously a family run business. I got my Uncle Chuck, who's a partner in it. My wife, Janet, works right in the office with me. It's just really cool. I think what I'm most proud of is the people that we're doing it with, because I do strongly feel that I have a close relationship with everybody. Obviously I'm talking to you guys now, but I probably text or talk with you guys, you know, every day. And obviously Richard's from a broker capacity, but Dustin, you're obviously, you know, an agent here at the brokerage that we get to talk a lot and hang out and, you know, all that good stuff. So I think it's the people is what I'm most proud about. I've been able to really see people go from that general, I'm receiving leads, and now I am that top team or top individual agent. I've seen that growth. I actually saw it with you, Dustin, because you've only been doing it, you know, 3-4 years, you know, to see what you've done is like, holy shit, you know? So people is what I'm most proud of. In terms of biggest mistake, honestly, there's too many to count. But I can't think of one that I'm like, man, I really messed that up outside of, and this is just a pure business thing. We did kind of set up a massive call center to go towards an ISA route at one time. And it didn't work out the way we expected. So in terms of any teams that are watching and different things, you have round robin, you have ISA. What we work and have found extremely effective is an agent of the day model. So anybody looking for how should I distribute leads, say I'm running a team or whatever it is, we find just massive success by setting up, hey agent, this is your day to receive leads. You'll get them for 24 hours, expect X number to come in, and then go really work those things hard for a week. And that rotational level is really found to be fair, also beneficial to the agent, so they don't feel like they're constantly on 24/7. And it's really helped that one change in terms of conversion, success, all that good stuff. So regret off that was probably the attempting the ISA, but it allowed us to kind of find out that the agent of the day model is the best.
Well, I think when you went to agent of the day, you probably also eliminated some liability from the brokerage, because there was probably a few times that I pulled over to a shoulder on a highway to call a lead, when if I just knew it was my day, I wouldn't have felt so antsy to jump on those.
Right. That's a good point, man. Yeah, you probably after the switch, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that's funny, man.
Yeah, but so final hard-hitting question. You know, I need you to, I hope you prepared for this, but because this is Top Agent Happy Hour, what is your go-to drink of choice?
Oh, drink of choice. Actually, my wife's in the kitchen here. She's looking at me. She's saying, you got a couple of those too, don't you? Honestly, I like IPAs, man. That's kind of what I drink now. I don't have, last night I had Solace Partly Cloud. What it was. We were watching the NBA finals and had one of those, but that, and then shout out to my pops. My father passed away about a year ago now. Jim Beam and Coke, man. That's what he used to rock all the time. So now I find myself toasting to him every now and again. So an IPA, Jim Beam and Coke, and that's going to be my go-tos.
Gotcha.
All
so
right.
If somebody wants to get a hold of you, they want to learn more about the brokerage, they want to just talk to you and brainstorm and snowball ideas, they just want to get really close proximity to you, to be in your general vicinity and atmosphere, how can they get a hold of you? How can they talk to you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so easiest, so you can email Eric at pearsonsmithrealty.com. My direct cell phone number is 540-454-1551. Feel free to give me a buzz. And actually, the easiest way is the Calendly, right? So you guys all use it, but calendly.com/Eric Pearson. That's the direct link to my calendar. I do strongly encourage, like, anybody who listens, jump on there, whether it is recruiting or just meeting to see how we can help business, whether it's even in our area or outside. Like, I do that nonstop to help kind of, give back to an extent. And I like to think it's really helped some people in terms of what they do. One guy came here one time and actually tried to, at the end, like, slip me some money. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? I don't need your money. But definitely.
What, did he think you weren't going to hire him?
No, this was an agent from, like, out of state who wanted help, like, growing his team.
Oh, nice.
Hey, man, come on out, spend a day. Like, I'll show you what we do for the lead team and all that. And he, like, tried to give me an envelope with money in it. And I'm like, dude, this isn't a paid consultation. It's cool, man. Don't worry. But anything, whatever it is, happy to help. Definitely reach out. I put that out there in the hopes that people will kind of reach out. So.
Well, I will, and I will put that in the show notes, Eric, your calendar link. Richard, how do the folks get a hold of you?
Get a hold of me. I'm not going to give you my cell phone because I'm not nearly as generous as Eric Pearson. And if you would think about it afterwards, you text us, we will censor that right out of this thing. Don't even email is best for me, richard.bridges@Pearson Smith Realty, or you can find me on social media and send me a direct message that way as well.
And for me, Dustin Fox, best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone. Richard, you're a pussy, 703-927-1461. And my email address is dustin.fox@pearsonsmithrealty.com.
Hey, quick story on that. So, and I'm going to butcher this, but buddy of mine in the industry, extremely successful guy, started Remine. People probably, Leo Pareja. Really cool guy, but he told me a story. I'll probably get it messed up, but he was in front of a speaking engagement. There's about 2,000, 3,000 people there, something along those lines. Put his stuff right on their screen. Number one KW agent in the country at the time, I think. Cell phone, email, whatever, said, please contact me after this. Everybody got it. They literally came to the event to learn about that one subject that he was an expert on. And he said, one person called him. So I put that number out hoping, but truthfully, I wouldn't worry about it too much because I doubt too many people are going to use it.
I'm not getting any phone calls.
It's the unfortunate, sad truth beyond it all. But definitely, I hope you take me up on it. So.
Fair enough. Well, EP, thank you so much for being on the show. Obviously, you're an inspiration to both Dustin and I. You're instrumental in where we are in our careers, and hopefully some people got some valuable content out of today's episode. We'll be back with you with another episode next week of the Top Agent Happy Hour. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
All right, thanks.